I think Luke is saying that if it was negative r, it wouldn't equal r. But that's why we have the absolute value sign, because it's like sort of distributing a little bit.
Because the absolute value is the distance from any number to 0. So r to 0 is r, and negative r to 0 is r. So they'd be the same thing.
Yeah, but what if r is a negative number? What if r equals a
Well,
negative?
what if you plug in numbers and it's asking, if you put a negative r, it'd be asking how many digits is negative r away from 0, meaning that r would have to be the same thing as r, but just not negative.
But
But what if r isn't if r is a negative number, let's say it was negative 2, the absolute value of negative 2 is 2, but 2 isn't equal to r. 2 is not r. Negative 2 is r.
Oh.
But if
But
it's
that's-
negative r, that would mean the opposite of r, which is the same thing as saying the absolute value of r, so it would still equal r.
They're both
But
the r and r equal
She
the
isn't
same.
saying that. The absolute value of the opposite of r, which would be
Yeah, but r and r
negative r.
equal the same.
Absolute
Say
value
it
of
again.
r
R and r
would
is
be
the
I'm not saying that r, I'm not saying that it's negative r, I'm saying that r equals a negative number. Like, if r equals, say, negative 4, the absolute value of negative 4 is 4, but 4 isn't equal to r. Negative 4 is r, so...
I get it. Yeah.
A negative variable is just the opposite of a positive variable.
That's what the sign does, though. It makes it positive. That's why we have the sign.
Yes, but only if the variable was, only if the variable was positive, would you be able to get it the exact same positive if an absolute value.
Yeah.
If, say for instance, like Luke said, negative 4, or our absolute value that would be 4, but 4 is 8 units away from negative 4. They're not equal.
But why should this problem be any different whenever we use like negative 7? It just equals 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Negative 7,
but we're
seven.
using variables. They're 14 units away from each other, right? 14 spaces.
But it's to 0, not to the
We
positive
aren't
form of
talking
it.
about positive to negative, negative to positive. We're talking to 0.
If you were to say for instance with negative 7, if you were to add 14 to that, you get 7, right?
Yes.
It's 14. Those two numbers are 14 units away from each other. Negative 7 is just the opposite of 7. There.
Do you mind if I go up there and show her?
That's fine.
I sort of understand what he's saying.
I think I understand it.
But that's why we have the sign.
Okay, let's say r equals negative 6. The absolute value of negative 6 would be 6, right? So, how is 6 equal to r if r equals negative 6?
Because it's asking the absolute value.
We aren't talking.
Absolute value.
But it doesn't say equals the absolute value of r. It says
No,
r
but
equals r.
it's saying r, the absolute value.
They're saying that
This is r. This is the absolute value of r. See the difference?
But
But they're the same distance
But
from the number 0.
the absolute value changes negative 6 to 6, so we're changing the value of r.
Look at the bars. That means the absolute value of r equals r.
So it'd be 6 equals, 6 equals negative. Whoa, it doesn't equal. So if you wrote it out, it'd be 6 equals negative 6. So they don't.
It's only equal if it's equal if it's the
I thought the absolute value was positive.
If the answer is positive
Yeah, this is easy.
It doesn't change it when R is alone. It just changes it when R is.
Positive of R. Say for
Let's say-
instance, R equals 6.
Let's say R equals 6. Forgive my handwriting.
I forgive you.
The absolute value of 6 is that equal to R?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's why a positive number would work.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
6 equals 6. But
But they're both
that's why a
6.
negative number wouldn't work, but this is why a positive number would work.
But so
But
if
the R, you can't end up with a negative absolute value. So in either case, you're gonna end up with a positive absolute value.
Yeah, but it doesn't change it when R is alone without the absolute value sign. It just changes it when it's with the absolute value sign. Not on the
but
second
look,
part of it.
The question you gotta ask is how many numbers away is it from zero?
No, look at the
6.
problem.
No,
always
it's like symbol, the squaring symbol, you know? Not squaring. Find the square root. The two absolute value signs, that mean you have to find the absolute value of that number.
6.
Yeah, but you only have to find the absolute value here. You don't have to find the absolute value here.
Right?
But that is the
But
absolute
it's
value.
it kind of acts like positive R in the question. So wouldn't you be talking about positives if the absolute value of R equals R? And the same R, not negative R.
But we're asking when does this work? So
But if you wrote it out, plug in -6, and it'd be the absolute value of -6 equals 6. So it'd be 6 equals -6.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be the same because it's R. R equals -6.
no,
Yeah, let's,
R equals 6.
R equals -6.
R
R with the absolute value sign equals 6.
Right, so it has the absolute value sign, so
On the second part of the question, when it says equals R and there's no absolute value signs,
then
Maybe
there's
it works
absolute
both
value
times.
sign.
No, it means that the absolute, that
Jose,
means that R is
when you
the
gonna say
absolute
something?
value of R.
no, it's not.
It'd be
Yeah, that's what it
like,
means.
it'd be like
That's
putting
what it
finding,
What-
you know how you
what-
find the square root of a number?
What
and
Luke
have
is
the
trying to
square
say
root
is that
of
if
a
it's a
number?
negative, if R equals a negative number, it's gonna be positive. It's not gonna equal negative. So
It only
that
works
means it's
when
not.
it's a
It's only gonna
positive
work when
number.
R is a positive
Some of the
number.
time.
No, because look,
But doesn't it always work? It would always work.
if R does
Not on a number
so
line.
we have the absolute value sign.
The absolute value can't be negative, so it can never be the same if it's a negative.
You're gonna get a positive number no matter what. It's always gonna work.
Show them what you mean, Jose.
But they're asking like if R will equal R, the absolute value of R will equal R. Say R equals -6. Its absolute value is 6. It doesn't equal -6.
Exactly.
So it's only when it's a positive number.
It's just the form of the way that we have it with the absolute value. Any number that's negative is gonna equal positive.
But what he's trying to say is that if it's a negative, it's not going to equal R. It's going to equal the opposite of R.
Negative R.
you're good.